Chora Church, called Chora Museum today, is located near Edirnekapı on a hill that leads to the Golden Horn. In the Byzantine period, this church was part of the Chora Monastery. Theodore Metochites rebuilt the inner narthex and the exonarthex of the church and added a parecclesion and a gallery to the southern part of the structure between 1315 and 1321. In addition, he decorated interiors with rich mosaics and frescoes, which were significant examples that demonstrate Palailogian Renaissance. Byzantine Institute of America realized the restoration of the mosaics and frescoes between 1948 and 1959. The research conducted by the institute stated that there were no ancient remnants which is older than the Komnenian period in the structure that survived to the present day. This building has been used as a museum since 1948. Mosaics and Frescoes of Chora are one of the most interesting Byzantine art series. Their dates of production coincide with the works of Giotto in Italy. They differ from the stylistic and figural tradition of previous Byzantine art. Although they are not similar to Giotto's work in their details, the realism, which is in the foundations of Renaissance, and traces of real-life events can be seen in these pieces. In the exonarthex of the church, there are mosaics which depict the birth and life of Christ, and in the inner narthex, as very rarely seen in other churches, scenes from Virgin Mary's life are placed in an order. The Parakklesion is not decorated with mosaics. Instead, it has frescoes which depict themes of death and life after death. In the inner narthex and exonarthex, there are mosaics which depict dedication. One of these works is in the inner narthex, above the door that opens to the naos, and it depicts the presentation of the church to Jesus Christ by Theodore Metochites. Metochites is in formal clothes with a large turban and presents a model of his church to Jesus, who is sitting on the throne. This mosaic, which is larger in size, is located in the eastern wall of the southern bay of the inner narthex. In the composition, Jesus Christ and Virgin Mary are in the middle, and there are two people at the bottom who offer them presents. The one on the left is Isaac Komnenos, and the one on the right is a nun named Melon. They are included in these mosaics in consequence of their contribution in the construction of the church. Inside the two ribbed domes of the inner narthex, there are mosaics depicting the ancestors of Christ. In the middle of the southern dome, a medallion of Christ Pantocrator is depicted, and around that, his prophet ancestors are portrayed. At the center of the northern dome, a medallion of Virgin Mary stands. In between the ribs around it, there are depictions of the 16 kings of David's ancestry, the ancestors of Virgin Mary. In the first three bays of the inner narthex, there are mosaics which depict the life of Virgin Mary. One of them is located in the eastern side of the inner narthex, and it portrays a scene where Mary is loved by her parents. The mosaic, which is on the eastern side of the arch between the third and the fourth bays, depicts the first 7 steps of Mary, which she took when she was only 6 months old. In the outer narthex, series of mosaics which include scenes from the childhood of Christ are located in the areas below the arches. Mosaics at the eastern niche of the arch at the second bay of the exonarthex depicts the birth of Christ. On the walls of the exonarthex and the south bay of the inner narthex, miracles of Christ are depicted. On the northern side of the exonarthex, a scene where Christ turns water into wine is described. In the naos, there are 3 compositions which depict the Dormition of Virgin Mary, koimesis, Christ, and Virgin Mary with infant Jesus. In the koimesis mosaic, which is located above the door that opens from naos to narthex, the dead body of Mary can be seen. Behind her, Christ holds her spirit, demonstrated as a swaddled baby. The Parakklesion, which was built by Theodore Metochites between 1315 and 1321, is decorated with impressive frescoes. These frescoes were estimated to be created in 1320 and 1321. The frescoes of the Parakklesion depict themes like resurrection, heaven and hell, saints and martyrs, which are related with the function of the building. In the half dome of the apse, the fresco of Anastasis, Resurrection, is located with Christ in the center. Behind him, there are two fictional hills. At the bottom, there is a black ellipse which has small metal pieces, broken doors, and chains inside. Here, a figure lays face down beneath the feet of Christ, symbolizing the devil. Christ, who stands between two sarcophagi, pulls Adam and Eve towards himself. In this depiction, Christ broke the doors of hell, and the doors are laid beneath his feet, and he takes Adam and Eve from their tombs. In the Last Judgment fresco above the apse, a couple of scenes are depicted. In the middle of the vault, an angel wraps the sky, which is white with the moon and sun on it. On the western side of this description, again in the midst of the vault, trial of Jesus scene lies on the north-south axis. In this scene, there are angels behind Jesus, with Mary and John the Baptist on his sides. There are apostles on both sides of the scene. In the middle of the western dome of the Parakklesion, frescoes depict Virgin Mary and infant Jesus, and between the ribs of the dome, there are depictions of angels. On the wall of the apse, there are depictions of 6 saints.